welcome to my channel, Fred Makes Things, and our 6-month review video of hooks and needles. In this video, I ask, is hooks and needles worth it? And then I try to give you all of the information that I know or have collected to make you decide if it's worth it for you. I'm going to do this video in several parts. 6 parts? 7 parts? Something like that. Timestamps are on the screen for you in the description box and should be as chapters on the video. So if you care for my overall thoughts and you don't care about like any of the breakdown or anything like that, feel free to skip to the end where it says final thoughts. Or like, as you can see, I have a bunch of different topics on the screen for you. We're going to be talking, part 1 is going to be who is hooks and needles. Part 2 is going to be addressing a bit of the marketing. Part 3 is talking books and patterns, what you see in front of you. Part 4 is going to be talking about the yarn. Part 5 is the projects themselves, kind of showing you what I have made, my thoughts. Part 6 is going to be talking about like the bonus gifts that you theoretically get. And then part 7 is going to be my overall thoughts and sign off. Some sections are going to be... Sorry, my chair is squeaking. Some sections are going to be a bit longer than others, but like I said, do use those timestamps if you want to skip around. So with all of that being said, I'm going to say quickly hello to everybody who has clicked on this video. Hello to new subscribers, OG subscribers, anybody in between. Hello to people who have clicked on to this video for the first time. Welcome. Let me know all of your thoughts, comments, anything like that down in the comment section. And since this video is going to be quite long, let's just jump into it. So part 1, who is Hooks and Needles? So Hooks and Needles is a monthly subscription box for crochet and or knitting. The price is has always been $33.97. They have like a little ticker on their website that's like, oh, act in the next hour, this is what you get, but that ticker is always there. It is always on for $33.97. The free gifts change, some other things might change, but the pricing is usually always the same. You can pre-purchase 3 and 6 month, I think it's 3 and 6 month subscriptions as well if you want to buy like block subscriptions, but the best pricing is the $33.97 a month. For that price you get 3 skeins of yarn, a crochet like little booklet like you see in front of you that has some articles and things like that inside of it, along with 3 patterns of varying difficulty levels. And then you also get like free gifts or add-ons. Like we get some crochet hooks and stitch markers and scissors and things like that that come in the boxes as well. Knitting is the same pricing. I'm not sure how it breaks down, but I know you still get the 3 patterns and the yarn and stuff like that, but your accessories would change because it's knit. And then if you want to combine the two, you can have a savings on getting both boxes together. So let's get right into part 1, talking about the marketing. So when I decided to get this box, they were having like a pretty big marketing campaign, right? That it's like, it kept popping up on Facebook and Instagram. Hey, check out Hooks and Needles, check out Hooks and Needles, things like that. They have some people, right, some influencers and stuff doing unboxing videos and things like that, and it kept talking to me because I'm brand new to crochet and I wanted to expand my skill level, and I thought like a subscription box is usually good for that because it gives you a bunch of stuff. So the marketing was everywhere, still is. Like, I think it's because I go onto the Hooks and Needles website so often, and I'm kind of like hanging out in that realm that I see the marketing all the time for it. So yeah, it's heavily pushed on Instagram and Facebook. I would assume TikTok as well, but I don't have TikTok. And I just wanted to say that, like how I said in my introduction, they have interesting things that they've been saying in their marketing and stuff like that. When you go onto the website, it says $33.97, act now, right? You have an hour long. But one of my subscribers actually stayed on that page for an hour to see what would happen, and nothing happened. It just kind of like stalled out and kept the price as is. So I'm not a huge fan of marketing like that, of selling like that. I don't like that kind of buy now or you miss out kind of situation. And normally when I see things like that, nothing is worth it enough to me to be like, oh my god, I have to buy this right now. So I usually tend to walk away from all of that. So that's just something I wanted to put out there. They do also like send out a lot of emails. Like I get Hooks and Needles email every single day. They're always sending out 20% off, buy one get one, all those kinds of things for their shop. So they are very up in your attention span quite a lot, I would say. And then also, I'm going to throw this in with marketing too, because I don't know where else to put it. They have made it so that when you order your boxes, the longer your subscription goes on, the more savings that they kind of put in your little bank. So right now, I have like $5 in store credit set up to go with for them. So at some point in the future, if I want to buy yarn or something like that, or apply it to my subscription or what have you, every single month that you stay in the subscription or every single time period that they push, you save yourself some money, or you get like a little bit of a store credit to kind of keep you in the program, I would say. And then finally, I forgot to mention this and who Hooks and Needles are, but it can go in here too. It does not matter when you start your subscription. You always start with box 1, then you get to box 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and on. Recently, I've noticed that box 1 has changed. I don't know when it's changed, but when we talk about what came in my first subscription box, and if you've gotten this box, you can let me know if it's the same projects for you or if they changed it for you. But I do know that on their website and in some of the unboxing videos that I've seen since about Christmas time, the box 1 has changed. And that kind of goes in with marketing, because I was like seeing all of these unboxing videos pop up on my feed, right? And it's like, well, those aren't the things that I unbox. Those are completely different. And one of the reasons I'm still getting Hooks and Needles is because I kind of want to see when some of the projects that I see being unboxed appear in the subscription. So yeah, I think that's what I wanted to talk about with marketing. Books and patterns. This is what I have laid out for you here. Every month you get a book. And inside you get what came in the box. This is book 1. Then you also usually get like, oh look, greetings and welcome. You have a table of contents that breaks it down for you. Little things that kind of help you follow along and read. And then you get your projects. So in this month's, this is box 1. We had the cozy bottle holder, which looks like that. I don't know if there's a photo for it. There it is. Cozy bottle holder. And then we have the urban crossbody bag, which kind of looks a bit like a fanny pack. And then we have the boho makeup pouch, which looks like this at the end. And then at the end, like then sometimes there's recipes, sometimes there's little crafts, sometimes there's like more articles and things like that. Every single box comes like that. Now I do have a 7th box. We're going to make a little bit of a mention to that I think in a little bit. At some point I talk about it, but you always get one of these magazines. What I find interesting is that the cover art is always like stock photos. A lot of their like interior art, or like their photos and stuff inside, are also stock kind of photos. Because like you see there's like a little basket on here. You don't make a basket. Right? You have just yarn, someone contemplating with a cup of coffee or tea or whatever, right? So they're just kind of stock photos for each and every single one of them. Nothing to do really with the pattern itself. You do have pattern photos in here, and we'll talk about that in a second, but right, you always have kind of something going on. You always have like what came inside of the box, things like that. Also, I want to ask, as I'm looking at these, do you hold your hook like that? Does anybody hold their hooks like that? I'm just curious. I hold mine more like a pen would. Like if this were a hook, I hold mine like this as I'm working. Right? And she's holding hers like that. Right, and some hold it like this. I hold it like this too quite often. But anyway, just curious. So yeah, right, you get different projects in each box, different things, like a decent walkthrough with the patterns for the most part. They always tell you what you're starting with, the things that you need, your hook size, abbreviations, and then if you come across a new stitch, they tell you how to do the new stitch when you reach that point. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but all of the books are the same. They're all kind of like that. All of the patterns are supposed to be staggered. You have one that's for a beginner, one that's more moderate, intermediate, and then one is more advanced. But honestly, for the most part, they are all pretty straightforward patterns. I went through, I made notes, and it looks like how they make the distinction between beginner, intermediate, and advanced is mostly the stitches that you use. In the beginner stitches, you do a lot of single crochet, half double crochet, and double crochets. And I think once towards the end, there was a treble crochet as well. But that wasn't until box 4 that we had something differing from single crochet, half double crochet, and treble crochet. For the intermediate, a lot of it is puff stitches, like a lot of differences, like you getting puff stitches. Sometimes I don't think that the order of intermediate and beginner is really that much different. Like in box 5, I want to say. Box 4. Box 5. Box 5. You have like a wallet thing. Right? And this is just half double crochet over and over and over again. But you had to build it, like you had to sew it together and have some structure. But the like intermediate one was just like a bathroom scrubber and like a soap holder, soap saver. And they're not that hard to make, really. Like the scrubber is just doing increases. And I guess if you want to think of like a double crochet 3 increase, double crochet 4 increase, and double crochet 5 increase as more difficult, but it's just stitching into the same stitch from below, right, to make ruffles. So to me, that's not that difficult. Same here with this, right? It's like, oh, you're making a mesh, but you made a mesh in the very first box that you got as well. Like you made this bottle holder. And then sometimes as I'm working on these, I can see where they're like trying to move up from what you learned in previous boxes, and like stitches and stuff you might know. But in the first two boxes, in the second box, they're introducing the puff stitch as an intermediate stitch. All right, like right here it says special stitch, puff stitch, and then it walks you through it. But then in this box here, in your first one, your second project has puff stitches in it. So in my final thoughts, I'm going to get into why I think that is. But yeah, and then for the advanced, what is it called? Yeah, for the advanced level, it's just having a whole bunch of new stitches. They do more granny squares in the advanced ones. They make the pattern slightly more complicated. They do more front post double crochets, back post double crochets, like techniques like that in the advanced. Sometimes the patterns themselves are a little bit more advanced than the other ones. Like the makeup bag is a bit more, like, I guess with like building the structure and stuff like that and needing your granny squares to come together to be the same size. This colorful purse, right? It's puff square or puff stitches making hexagons. This one here, it's like a bag using like a more complicated stitch, and so on and so forth. Like this one here, it's a neck warmer. Didn't even bother trying with that one. This one here, it's a hat, and I think that it's more advanced because, right, again, different kinds of stitches, and you're starting to do ribbing and stuff on the bottom. And then this one here, right, is this, and it's just again, I think it's the technique you have to do over and over and over again to make them make sense. But honestly, none of them are really, I don't think, that difficult. I do want to say too, though, that sometimes it looks like the people who are making these mock-ups are not the greatest at crocheting themselves, at keeping their stitches looking nice and together. Like you can really tell that like someone has been making these, has been testing them, because like some of the patterns just don't come out looking all that finished in the end. Is that this one? Oh, like this wallet is just a mess. Like you can even see from like the photos that they chose to use for it, and like how they're putting everything together for it, that it's a mess. I'm finding that with the box that I'm doing right now. I left the book out in the other room, but I've been working on like the intermediate project, which is just a bunch of single crochets that you're going to sew together at the end with a bit of a puff stitch. But when I'll take a photo of it and insert it here for you, but you can kind of see that in the word is escaping me. In the sample photos, even those are kind of like not looking that good. Like I can make a tighter or a nicer looking rectangle than the sample photos have for a rectangle. As an example too, actually, so there's that photo there that I can show you. In last month's box, right, we did a yarn holder, right? Here's a photo of the rectangle that I built as my base compared to like what this rectangle here looks like, right, for your base rectangle. And I am not a I've not been sewing for a long time, crocheting for a long time, so it's just kind of interesting that like the sample patterns that they have are not great. There's also some photos for the patterns are not great. There's also some discrepancy in the patterns too. Like again, if you look at this last one here, for like them walking you through these puffs or these stars that you make. Is it this one? I think it's the star. Oh no, it's the flowers in this one. So in the intermediate, right, it's this flower cluster thing. The flower shapes are not that difficult to make. It's like the sewing together that can give you about a rough time. I tried it a couple of times. I've given up. But they make a 5-pointed flower, but when you're actually working on it, you need a 6-pointed flower. So they show you all the steps to do a 5-pointed flower, but then when you're actually like following the instructions, they want a 6-pointed flower, petaled flower, things like that. And then in this month's box too, when you're doing your puff stitch detail on the wallet thing that you're doing for the intermediate project, they say make 28 puff stitches, but they really mean 14 puff stitches. But they repeat it 3 times over that you need 28 and not 14. So there are some discrepancies in the patterns. So sometimes I think if you're following along and you're brand new, things might be a little bit more confusing. And then also, if we're good into the viral marketing thing that we were just talking about, they're having some people say there are video tutorials to go along with these, and there might be some in the future, but I took like a sampling from all of these books, and I couldn't, every time I clicked on the QR code, because they give you a QR code, it takes you to this exact version of this pattern online. Right, so each one comes with a QR code, but I cannot seem to find a video tutorial on it. So if there are video tutorials, again, and you found them, let me know, because I can't find any tutorials. Maybe in some future upcoming projects there will be, but in these last 6 months that I've been getting this, there have been no video tutorials. So now let's get into part 3. Taking a look at the yarn. So we get different yarn every single month. The colors can change depending on availability, but my first one was this one here. This is called Woodland Whisper, 95% merino wool, 5% viscose, and it's made in Italy. And it's like a 4 medium weight. It's really soft, really quite pretty. Covered in cat hair, because everything in my house is covered in cat hair. Then the next month after that, we got like almost like a straightforward yarn. This one here is Merino Essence, 100% unshrinkable, extra fine merino wool. We got 2 different colors for it because of the patterns from that month. 2 skeins of this, 1 skein of this. We have 3 skeins of that. Then the next month after that, we got Merino Wildflower, 70% wool, 30% polyamide. Polyamide? I was told how to pronounce that too. Really, really pretty, variegated kind of yarn. Then after that, we got Bamboo. Beautiful green bamboo touch, 100% bamboo viscose, made in Portugal, really soft. Then we got recycled cotton, 95% recycled cotton, 5% other fibers, made in Portugal. Again, a number 4 medium. This one has a bit of texture to it, which is nice for like the scrubbies and things like that. I've made dishcloths out of some of this too. It's really, like, it's not as soft as some other yarns, cotton yarns that I've worked with, but it's quite nice for making things like that. And then our 6th month was this here. This is Cotton Reef. So it's cotton. Number 3. And I don't know where this is, made in Portugal as well. And then this month here, month 7, is also cotton in a soft pink. So this here is really soft. This is more like the cotton that I like working with. It's a really soft, easy to work with cotton. This one here has a bit more texture. It's a little bit rougher, but it's because it's a different kind of cotton, right? So these are the yarns that I got. I like working with all of them. They're all really nice to work with. They all kind of flowed through my hand really nice, worked with the hook really nice. I mentioned this in my review video, and if you want more in depth on any of this stuff, I do have 6 months of review videos for you. I'll link the playlist up here in the corner, and you'll find it at the end of the video as well. But when I was working with this one here, they sent a 3.25 millimeter hook to go with it, and I thought it would be better with a larger hook. So these are the yarns. Also so pretty. Looks like all I've done really is gotten purple and green and kind of blue. Okay, there's not a whole lot of variation there. And then even this month is like a really soft pink color. So that's interesting. Didn't notice that until I put all of them together for you. So now let's get into part 5 and the projects themselves. I'm not showing you every, well, actually, I don't know. I think I pulled out most projects. These are going to be just real quick. Again, if you want like a greater walkthrough with them, do feel free to check out that playlist. But here we are. These are the things I have sitting around. So we're going to go with part 1 or month 1 and this bottle holder. Here's the bottle holder all together, right? You can see we started off doing a mesh and a circle on the bottom. Here's a photo of that for you. But this was my very first project. It was easy. It was pretty, it came together quite nicely. Then for my second month, it was these two things. This weird little hanging organizer was our beginner project. Didn't really enjoy this project at all. And then we had like a puff stitch pot holder kind of thing. It's small. I think that I made my stitches tight and it came out quite small. But it was my first time doing color changes, and the only time in any of these projects that we have color changes. But that's this first time doing puff stitches. It's kind of like it needs to be blocked and flattened out, but that's that. Month 3 brought us the variegated yarn. It was a bucket hat that I didn't like, and I frogged. Here's a photo of that on Mr. Miles. And then there is this shawl, which is a bit on the small side. This was the intermediate project. What was really interesting about this intermediate project was the amount of new stitches that you learned. We have single crochets, half double crochets, double crochets, and then a bunch of different crochet clusters. I can't think of any of the words right now, but there's double crochet clusters. There's kind of like little openings, like little scalloping, a little bit of ribbing using front double and back front post double crochets and back post double crochets. We finish it with a scalloped border. We're kind of just sitting here with this stitch marker because I hesitate to use that third skein to finish it off. And I'm still half tempted to frog it and try it over again. But this was, of all of the projects that I've made with hooks and needles, this is the most complicated one because every single row is a different stitch. And I kind of really liked that about it. It's small. Here's a picture of it on my mannequin upstairs. It wraps around and you can kind of pin it together, like your two edges together, right, and have like kind of like a little shoulder scarf situation, but it's not very big at all. From there we get into the bookmarks. We have the three. Oh, I grabbed two of the same bookmark. Whoops. Anyway, here's two of the different bookmarks, two of the three bookmarks that they had us make. It's kind of like, this was like a box to experiment with making petals. Here's the third bookmark. I thought I had all three here, but I grabbed two of the same. And then the other project was just making like these little puffed flowers over and over and over again. I just grabbed one out of the box. So they came together pretty quickly, pretty easily, but you are making like 70 of them or something to put together. And when I tried sewing them together, I had a hard time sewing them together, stitching them together. So they're kind of hanging out in a box waiting for me to come back to them. Then we had box 5, right? And we had a wallet. Here's a photo of what I have of that left. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all, and I frogged it. Immediately frogged it for a dishcloth instead. And then here's the other two things. Here's our little puff scrubber thing and our little soap holder. See, again, mesh. It's a more open mesh, right? It's a different method of doing mesh. This one here is double crochet with a skipped stitch, and then this one here is a bunch of chains stitched together. And then last month we made my favorite coasters, really. I like making coasters, like these coasters specifically. And so I made a couple of them, but here's this in the blue that came in last month's box. And then the other thing we made was this needle hook carrier for the intermediate level. This is just a bunch of half double crochets over and over and over again. I think the only technique that comes in with it really is making everything the right size so you can assemble it together properly. And then I want to give honorable mentions because I do go back and experiment with things. But these were all of the projects that I talked about in my review videos. And then we have these here. This here is the purse from our second box that we did, right? These colors, right? This pot holder also had for their advanced, this was also from that second one, but I knew I wasn't gonna like it, so I didn't even bother with nice yarn. This is just acrylic yarn from Dollar Tree. But anyway, a subscriber sent in her version of the purse and it looked really nice, so I decided I'd go back and try it out. It's just half stitch, puff stitch hexagons sewn together. They want you to have this as your exterior. I haven't woven in my ends yet, right, to carry around. Like if you look at the sample photo, right, they kind of show that you have like exposed seams and stuff. I don't like that. So this is how they want you to have it with your exposed seams. I already did it different because I used, again, Dollar Tree yarn. I stitched my hexagons together with purple yarn, and I stitched my white together with white yarn and did white topping, but I prefer it this way. It looks a bit like, to me, it's either like a flower or it kind of looks like a crunch wrap. And then all I have left on these is to make like the little area up here where you attach your purse strap to it. So that's an honorable mention because I just have been messing around with this in the last couple of weeks. And then the other thing too is I've been making granny squares out of the pattern for pattern 1 for this crossbody bag, urban crossbody bag. I kind of experiment with like leftover yarn to see kind of how I like it. trying to get my tension right because they want these to end up being a certain size. Each granny square is supposed to be 5 by 5, and these are not 5 by 5. I talked about making these in a crochet update video too, but I come back, I revisit it, and I see what's going on with them. The other thing I wanted to point out is that they introduce the puff stitch here in this second here in this second pattern for intermediate level, but in the very first pattern that I got in the first book, they're talking about puff stitches, and I don't know if they show you how to make them in this one. Like, they don't mention it as a stitch that they use, but these are very definitely puff stitches. So that's interesting to me too, that they don't talk about it. They also talk, like, there's treble crochets and stuff in here too that they don't talk about when you're making them. So I'm going to get into like my thoughts on that in the final thoughts, but I just wanted to kind of show you all of the patterns that we had. All right, it took me a minute to gather these up. This fell on the floor. These were buried under the yarn and whatnot. But part 6, gifts, extras, things like that that came in the box. So we'll talk about these in a second, but if this looks familiar to you, this was from a video a couple of weeks ago where I turned this crochet stitch, or was it hook case or something, from January's box into this out of fabric. If you're interested in watching that video, it's linked here in the upper right hand corner for you, or you can find it just on my channel page as well, because it's like bright yellow. It kind of pops out at you. But for the purposes of this video, I stuck everything that we got that I could find back into this like little crochet hook wallet thing so that I could talk to you about the things that we received in order. So our first month we got quite a few things because it was our first month and we needed things, right? Because the way that these boxes are designed is that they build off of each other. So in the first month you have more things, A, because right, you're brand new and they always want to make a good impression, and B, you might need these things. So they sent us a 5mm hook to get us started with this bamboo handle. They also sent us stitch markers as our bonus gift, right? Every month they say you get a free gift. That's what this month's was. I don't normally keep all of them on this ring, but for the sake of talking about it on this video, I decided to put as many of them as I could find back on. There might be a couple missing. One is on that shawl. A couple might be in like the little bowl that I carry stitch markers in. But these are what we got in that first box. And what I find interesting is some of them are tarnishing. So like this Singer little sewing machine dude is tarnishing, and it's never been off this ring. And yet like this tape measure is not tarnishing, and it's part of the same, like it also has never made it off of the ring. Right, I Heart Knitting has never been off the ring. It's fine. This little Singer machine, here it is tarnishing. It's never been off. But then some that have been off, like this needle has been off, and where is it? These scissors and this yarn, these all have been off. They're tarnishing, but like this button is not. So I don't know what's going on with that. I've only had them since August, but like some are tarnishing, some are not. It's kind of annoying to me because I would hope that they would all stay, because they're nothing special, right? They're just like metal stitch markers. that they would not tarnish as quickly or as easily as these ones seem to have done. That's from box 1. We also had a tapestry needles, darning needles, whatever. We have 3 of them. One of them is in the living room, again in my little stitch marker holder for weaving in ends. But these came in there. And then we also had zippers because our first 2 projects, right, the intermediate and the advanced level projects required zippers. So that's all that came in the first one. In the second one, we got these really nice stork zippers. And then we also got this purse strap and this tassel because these were part of this purse project here. This is a pretty nice strap, and the tassel is pretty nice as well. They're faux leather, but they feel pretty good. Month 3, we got this 3.5 millimeter hook, also bamboo, and these tension rings here, these swan tension rings. No, handmade tags. I don't know why I keep wanting to talk about these tension rings. Handmade tags, little wooden handmade tags that I cannot find. But we got those in box 3. Box 4, we got these tension rings. Can I get it off? I slid them on here, and now I don't know if I can get them off. These tension rings, 3 different sizes. And we also got a 4 millimeter hook. So the hooks get sent when the yarn gauge changes or the project requirements change. And then on our next box, we got this yarn gauge that I've never used. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we've got this yarn gauge. And also this silicone handled 3.25 millimeter hook. It's the smallest hook that I've actually ever used. And I don't think that it worked well for the projects that it came with. And then box 6. Were more charms. I thought that came in this month's box. Oh no, this month's box was different. Box 6 were charms that I put right here. And these charms are exactly the same as these charms for the stitch markers. Actually, you can even see, like, here's the yarn for the stitch marker, and then here's the yarn for here. Like, look at the color difference. They all started off like this silvery color, and like all of them, when you compare, are like different shade now. Like, here's that Singer sewing machine, and here's this Singer sewing machine. Like, that's just so crazy to me. This month, box 7 was just a lavender sachet, which is whatever. We'll talk more about that next week in this month's project review video. Oh, I'm having issues. So that is what came in the box, or those are what has come in the boxes. Those are kind of like what you can expect going forward if you have this box, or if you are planning on getting this box. These are the kinds of things you're going to see. They send you the hooks that you need to go with it. Then they send you some fun extra kinds of things to go with it. And like, isn't that a cool surprise that the tension rings can hang out on this strap here? And yeah, so now I think we're done talking about everything. now we're into my final thoughts. Part 7, my final thoughts. And sign off. So this has been 6 months of projects. Some I've enjoyed making, like this bottle holder, this coaster, this puff stitch thing. I've enjoyed making. Some things I have not, like this thing here, the 2 items that I frogged. Some we have mixed opinions about, like this shawl. But we have made quite a few projects. I've expanded my sewing skill, or my crochet skills, I would say, from all of this. And yeah, so now that I've spent, what, 45 minutes or so talking about all of this stuff in general, what are my final thoughts on it? Is this box worth it? I have to be honest, I don't know. I've been thinking about this since I finished up the projects from January, and I go back and forth on whether or not I think the box is worth it. If you are brand new to crochet like I am, and you kind of just want to get some basic understanding of stitches and maybe how patterns come together and things like that, yeah, it can be worth it. $33.97 US is not that much money. In the grand scheme of things. Like, it can be pricey, right? It depends on what your budget is, your like economic circumstances, things like that. But there are far more expensive crochet subscription boxes out there. There are also less expensive boxes too. Like, this is kind of like a middling price point. All of the yarn feels really nice to work with. I haven't had any issues working with any of it. I do tend to make like practice projects when I'm not sure if I'm gonna like the project itself, or I really like the yarn and I don't feel like I want to waste it. Like this here, this yarn is frogged from the bucket hat that I made from my second or third box bucket hat. So there is that. There's techniques that you learn, right? Like puff stitches. There's a whole bunch of different stitches that you learn with this. But for the most part, beginner projects are all single crochet, half double crochet, and double crochet, with this one time that I got to do treble crochets. And this one, actually, I think. No. I don't remember suddenly. But things can get monotonous as well. Like, there's a lot of like fabric building, like this one here, right? This is just half double crochet over and over for 15 inches, 15.5 inches, something like that. And it can get tiresome. The only real difference between beginner and intermediate is that sometimes the stitches vary. You end up with more puff stitches, more diversity in your stitches. And then the same thing goes for your final, more advanced, is that they tend to change your stitches up more often. And they give you a few other different types of stitches and like clustering and things like that. But in general, if you're new to crochet like me, I don't think any of these patterns would really cause you any difficulty. Now, if you are a more advanced crocheter, you've been doing this for a while, you have all of your stitches down, you have a really good understanding of patterns and stuff like that, this box may not be for you. All of the patterns so far have been pretty standard, pretty straightforward. There's nothing that's really super duper complicated with any of them. If you want something that's kind of like a mindless activity that you just kind of want to put together, and like the $34 isn't a big issue, maybe you do get some nice kind of feeling yarn to go with it. So there is that kind of thing. Now, I do want to say that we got a whole lot of stuff in our beginning boxes that we have not been getting towards our end boxes. The only time that I've received, I don't like the word gotten, the only time that I have received zippers was my very first box. The only time that I've received like purse straps and stuff was my very second box. And since then, things have been waning. Like in January, or in this month's box that I just unboxed, I got the yarn, I got the pattern, and I have a lavender sachet. That is it. And that was kind of a bit on the disappointing side. So it seems like they really like focus on getting you subscribed and getting all of those initial kinds of like excitement. And then sometimes I think that the patterns kind of get a little bit boring and repetitive. Like, how many times do you make a rectangle? For the wallet that I made in December out of this yarn, right? It was half double crochets to make a rectangle, to then make a smaller rectangle that you sewed together, and then you made card pockets. This is a rectangle that you sewed, or that you stitched to make together. This is another like 3 rectangles. You can see my sides are terrible on this, but 3 rectangles that you then sew together. This month I'm making another rectangle that I'm sewing together in a different way. So that's kind of tiresome after a while. But then they throw in like fun petals or like this coaster, things like that. So it is definitely a mixed bag when it comes down to the projects that you get. Yeah. So I was really, really excited when I first started getting this box, and every subsequent box, it loses a little bit more of its shine for me. I've been asking since, I don't know, December or so if I should continue with this box or try out a different box, and my curiosity is going to cause me to continue getting this box for at least another couple of months to see if the projects get better, see what else comes included. Things like that, because like I said, it doesn't matter when you subscribe, you always start at the same base and then you work off of there. So what you see in front of you are projects that you will most likely get if you get this box, so keep that in mind, if where these appeal to you or they don't appeal to you. I think they've switched it up a little bit. I've mentioned that before, but I don't know. I can only speak for what I have in front of me. So I've done this Is It Worth It before. I tried to try out subscription boxes for 6 months and then come back with like an overall opinion on it. Previous boxes that I've talked about, Sewers Club, 100% always say that is worth it. I love Sewers Club. I think they're a great company. They are a sewing project box. I think they're great. They have a stash builder. I think that's great too. Both of them to me are worth it. I was doing resin crafting for a while and unboxing Sophie and Toffee's boxes. Towards the end with them, didn't think they were worth it. Didn't like the way the company was going. Didn't like how that relationship ended. Don't really recommend them, really. But that could be a personal choice. So what box? Didn't really like it from the beginning, did 6 months of it, and then like immediately canceled when I could. Not a fan of their boxes. Cat Lady was really great to begin with, and it can still be really great depending on how long you've been getting them. So again, like, I don't know if their close to $50 price tag is worth it right now. So I try to stay as balanced as I can when I talk about these subscription box companies, but I'm 6 months in and I don't know if they are worth it or not. I'm going to continue getting them because they could be turn my opinions around right now, but right now I would say 50-50 on whether or not they are. So wish I could be more definitive in my answer, but I just can't. So yeah, what do you think? Do you get this box? Do you enjoy this box? Have you gotten the exact same projects as I have, or have you received different ones? Let me know in the comment section down below. What do I have coming up this week? Wednesday is going to be our quilt update video for you. Friday is hopefully a Sewers Club Stash Builder unboxing. Following Monday is our hooks and needles review video for box 7. And then we're doing our Sewers Club project review on the following Wednesday. So I have the next 5 videos planned out for you, 4 videos planned out for you. So if any of those interests you, do think about subscribing. Do let me know all your thoughts down in the description box or down in the comment section. I'd be really curious to hear what you have to say. I know this was a long video. My 6-month review videos are always on the long side. So if you're still here with me all the way at the end, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really do appreciate it. Like the video if you liked it. I should hope so if you're still here. And with all of that being said, I'm going to say thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk with you again soon. Bye!